Hello everybody, Tiffany from Dragonflyer Studios here. I hope you all are doing wonderful this evening. I am currently working on getting my Catching Fire journal up and running. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to cover up this part and this part here as the author and where it was published. I don't know how I'm going to cover that up, but I am going to do something. Been thinking about doing something along this, so it kind of gives the mockingjay, woodpecker, whatever the bird is from the movie. I know I've seen it, but I don't remember what they are, what they're called. So anyway, I thought I would do a series on how to decorate this guy using mostly junk from either your trash or junk mail that comes in. And so there will be a few things of store-bought, paper, ephemera, and stuff. But otherwise, I'm going to use either papers that I've decorated myself. There's a lot of hand-dyed papers in here, things of that nature. Like, let's see, let me find one. Like this guy's coffee-dyed, just printer paper that I coffee-dyed and then dried in my oven. These are pages from books, tracing paper. Some of this stuff has been store-bought, but most of it is genuinely vintage. This is alcohol ink on an old book page. This is a junk envelope that I recycled, that I turned into a pocket. I just covered it with some scrap paper, scrapbook paper, old music sheets. Some of this stuff is new, so it's not 100% junk, but what I thought I would do is kind of concentrate on how to genuinely take things that you would otherwise maybe throw away and incorporate those into your junk journals. And that way, I don't use a whole lot of printables in my journals, but that's just a personal preference. If you want to use printables, then by all means check out Etsy. There's a lot of wonderful stuff on there. It's just not something that I do. I do use pre-printed papers like scrapbook papers and things like that. I just don't use the digital images. Like if you see a postcard in my journal, it's a real actual postcard that was probably mailed at some point in time. So I do use a lot of authentically vintage items of that nature that would otherwise maybe get thrown away, or sit in an attic and as a collectible and never get back out into the world and appreciated for the joy that it once brought somebody. So this video is not going to be super long. I'm going to start off with making this one's writing board. I always include a writing board in my journals. I usually make it as the first thing because as I start to embellish these pages, my writing board will come in handy as far as decorating and gluing and things of that nature. So, without further ado, let's get started with a writing board. And I make my writing boards out of good old-fashioned junk. I stole this from the kitchen when we had it for dinner one night. It's been sitting up here just waiting to become something wonderful. And so tonight, it's going to become my writing board. So, let's see. Real quick, I want to take a measurement because I have forgotten the size of my book. Now, because I have this wonderful little lip here, my writing board's going to come all the way out to almost to the edge of this. And so I'm just going to measure from not quite all the way to the spine, because then you end up with spine cracking problems once the thickness of the journal starts to grow and the mouth of it starts to do this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come out here to where the spine naturally bends. And I'm going to measure from there. Oh, not quite all the way to the edge is if you can see that, is 5 1/4. So I'm just going to keep it at 5 inches. 5 by, and you know what? We'll just go 5 by 8 because a half is right there. So 5 by 8 will ensure that the writing board is contained within the outer lying edges of that book. So all I'm going to do is break this box down. And I'm going to start by measuring its biggest side. So that's almost 5 inches, so that will work. And this one is, almost 8 inches to the crease. So that one side of that box will work perfectly. So then it's just a matter of cutting down the box as I need it. And I'm just using the box's natural folds as my guidelines. Nothing too strenuous as far as measuring goes or anything like that. Hey, pupper dog. Atlas is in the studio, everybody. He's a little too big to pick up and put on camera, but he's here. He's at my feet. Well, now he's in the hallway. So I'm just going to trim this down. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to make sure that at least one side of this is straight using the lines there on my Fisker mat. And then I'm going to make sure that the other side is as straight maybe as possible. And then I'm just going to come back and I'm using the line on my mat to line up my ruler so that if for some reason the box wasn't completely squarely folded, I can ensure that my writing board will have a nice rectangular straight shape. I'm not going to end up with a rhombus to write on. I mean, I guess that would be fun. This is my writing rhombus. Say that 5 times fast, shall we? I might make a writing rhombus. You never know. Wouldn't that be something? Okay, so normally what you want in a writing board is you want something a little bit thicker than this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use both sides of this box to make my writing board a little more sturdy. Writing boards can be well, I want to say as thick as you want them to. What you want to steer away from, unless you've just got a journal that's 6 inches thick, and some people make big fat journals like that. I do not. At least I haven't yet. Don't want to pigeonhole myself into saying I'll never make one. I might. I just haven't yet. So, but what you kind of want to steer clear from is using like full-on cardboard box, corrugated cardboard. Just because the airspace in between it, if you should push down too hard while you're actually writing in your journal, you're going to crumple your writing board. And the whole point of the writing board is to stay rigid. So I try to use cardboard from, I say cardboard, it's more like chipboard. Chipboard is fabulous. If you can get a piece of chipboard to use and cover as a writing board, then by all means do that. But I don't currently have any chipboard on hand, so we're gonna improvise. Because that's what we do here in the studio. So now I want to take a quick measure, and what I'm looking for is I want them to be as close to the exact same size as I can get. Alright, and we do. That's what we have. So I'm just going to come in here, and I am gluing glossy side to glossy side. I'm just going to come in here with my Scotch Create glue stick. Actually, get my glue book over here, because I want the glue, try not to shake the camera too much, I want the glue to go all the way to the edges as much as possible. And then you're just going to come in with the other side of this and line them up just edge to edge. Okay, and then I'm just going to give that a good second for the glue to grab. Now it doesn't really matter with the glossy to glossy, because we are going to cover this, and the cover is also going to help adhere the two sides together. Okay, flip it over, just kind of push down on the other side, give that glue a chance to smush around in between those two layers. My kiddo needs me. I will be back in just a second, y'all. Okay, I'm back. Kiddo needed me, and well, when the kiddo needs me, I gotta go. So that's what they invented the pause button for, right? So now that the glue has had a chance to kind of set and kind of cure, and you want to make sure that you keep this nice and flat while the glue's drying, because if you bend it, that the glue could have a tendency to take that shape. So what I'm going to do in going with the book's red cover, and I'm not necessarily going to have a red theme, however, I am going to go with that red cover. I am going to use this wonderful piece of jelly printed paper that I made for myself, playing around with my new jelly print. If you don't have one, check them out. They're fabulous. I will be selling handcrafted papers in my Etsy shop, bundles and stuff and whatnot. So if you are interested and want to take a look, the link to my Etsy shop will be in the comments. You can pop over there and see if anything fancies you. And I do add new packets and new colors all the time. So all we're going to do is we're going to cover one side of this just to give us a nice clean writing surface. This doesn't have any thickness on it. It's just regular thickness printer paper. So nothing too fancy smancy there. So what I'm going to do, since I want color all the way around this, I'm just going to come in here with my ruler. And I want about a 1/2 inch to work with. I'll do the same thing on the other side. I'm really just kind of eyeballing the 1/2 inch. There's really no wrong way to do this. What you don't want is too little. Like, you don't want to go right up to the edge of that. You want to give yourself enough room that you're going to be able to fold this over. We're going to do what I kind of call a book fold. I've heard it as called a binding fold before now, but it's kind of how if you're covering a book, like we did back in the good old days for school. If you're covering a book, it's kind of how we were taught to fold a paper bag to cover a textbook. In this instance, we're going to use glue because, well, this book belongs to us and not the school. Okay, so when you get done, you should have something that looks roughly like that with whatever pattern or paper or whatever it is that you've got going on. Okay, so then I'm just going to come in here and let's see, we are going to put glue down. Again, you want this glue to be all the way to your edges, just because it's going to hold that cover nice and firmly in place and give us a nice flat surface. I do recommend using a glue stick for this particular process. If you use any kind of wet PVA glue like Elmer's glue or glitter glue, it's going to cause your stuff to warp. You're going to want to put this, if that's all you have, you can use it by all means, but in the drying process, you're going to want to put this particular item under something heavy so that it doesn't start to bow, because once you've got this laminated cardboard wet and it wants to start to curl up, even with this, it's wanting to curl up because of the extra moisture that I'm adding to the product. You just want to make sure that it's nice and flat, otherwise you're gonna potentially have a curved writing board as a permanent fixture in your book, and that is just not what we're going for. Okay, so now that we have that done, I'm going to come back in here and I'm just gonna let's see, what's the best way to show you how to do this. Hold on, let me grab my little ruler. I normally just wing this, but for those of you who may be learning, I want to kind of show you how I came about doing this. So I just put my ruler right across here, not all the way up against that tip of that cardboard, and I just cut straight across. Same thing here. And I'm just going to do this on all 4 corners. And what this will do is it will keep those corners from becoming overly bulky with paper. Normally what I would do is if I'm covering the cover of a journal, I would fold this down, and then this would come down and this would come down. However, I don't want the added thickness of the paper on the back side. Okay, so then just gonna come over here, and can you see what I'm doing? Nope, I'm off camera. That's no good. Can't learn like that, right? So I'm just gonna come in here, and I put the glue on this flap so that I make sure that the glue goes all the way to the edge, and then using the weight of your cardboard to get a nice crisp fold, you're just gonna fold it over like that. And then I give it a second for the glue to hold. And then pull it up, and you've got a nice solid edge there. Okay? Same thing with all the other 3 sides. Oops. Maybe. If my glue stick will cooperate. Here we go. Okay, same thing here. Use the weight of your item to help get that nice crisp crease along that edge. Okay, and then see what we did by cutting it. There's no excess buildup there, and those edges are going to lay down nice and flat, and that will come in handy for the next step of the project. Hope everybody's enjoying the content on my channel. I'm so happy you guys are here. I can't believe I'm up to a little over 600 subscribers so far. I appreciate all of you guys. Drop a comment, ask questions. Please ask questions. I've answered so many questions. Several people have said I've helped them out. I don't know the answers to everything, but if you ask me a question that I don't know the answer to, it does 2 things. One, it sends me on a hunt for the right answer. So, and then 2, it makes me find the answer so that I can then come back and share it with you. And I love doing that. So, been paper crafting for 20 plus years. This jelly printing is all new to me. I'm refining the technique as I go along. So, you know, I love learning about new things. So ask those questions. Ask away, please. I will answer all my comments. Or all your comments, rather. Okay? So there's that. And then this is the side. So this would be the side that you would have writing. And the goal for this, excuse me, I have the hiccups all the time. I get the hiccups all the time when I'm recording. So the goal for this would be to put this here and have a surface that you could write on, regardless of whatever is on this one's page or subsequent pages. Because as you will find as you go along and decorate your journals, these will start to get chunky, especially if you add textured items like clusters and pockets, pull-out envelopes and things of that nature. This will start to get bulky. And if you use your journals like I use my personal journal, I use it for writing quite a bit. I have a lot of blank spaces in journals that I create for myself, and or lots of pull-out things. A writing board just gives you that option to be able to write in your journal, and makes it a little more functional. And it's super pretty because now it matches the cover. So on the back side of this, I think we're going to keep it simple and just go with, I don't want to do a plain white paper because, you know, we're fancier than that, right? Right. So what if we used, I don't know, what if we used some wallpaper? How about some wallpaper? What about this? Kind of like that. It's nice contrast against the red. Yeah, let's use some wallpaper. I'm just going to cut a piece off of here, and we will we'll go to town on that. So wallpaper, that's another one of those things that you know, you can find. I think I picked this roll up at an estate sale along with several other rolls of, you know, half-used paper that were just, I think they were just sitting in a tub in the garage. I don't even know that they that the people had intended to sell it, because when I asked, you know, how much for the wallpaper, I kind of got one of those, okay, crazy lady, looks from them, but they sold it to me for really rather cheap, and I thanked them, and away I went, and now I have these beautiful rolls of I don't know, they're not vintage wallpapers by any means. Okay, so all we're gonna do, stop the rambling, Tiffany. All we're gonna do is come in here, and we're just gonna measure off a piece of wallpaper the same size as our writing board and a little bigger, to get a piece of the wallpaper that is workable. This is a very, you know, I mean, it's a roll of wallpaper, so we just want to get a size that's manageable. So our writing board is, if I remember correctly, 5 by 8, right? Yeah, well, roughly 5 by just short of 8. So we're gonna go 7.5 by 4.5 is what we're gonna make. So that way it'll give us a nice border on the back side. So I'm just gonna get out my pencil, and it is wallpaper, so you know it's paper on the back side, which takes really nice to pencil. And I'm using the factory edge as my straight edge over here, so I know that everything will be square when I cut it. Maybe if I can find the right marks. Okay, and since I have no idea neither one of these edges are flat because of how the paper roll was cut, I'm going to create myself a nice straight line using my cutting mat. Hope you can see all this. Yes, I'm on camera. Sometimes I forget where I should be. I'll be all working off over here, and you guys are like, hello, can't see you. Then I gotta stop the video and start it all over so that you guys can see what I'm doing. It's kind of the point. Okay. So I said 7.5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.5. Okay. I love my little Fiskars mat here because of the 1/4 inch tally marks that it gives you in between each 1 inch mark. It's fabulous. Okay, so now we have this a beautiful piece of quality paper. So now this is how this is going to look. Once we get the glue put down, we're just going to push this onto there, and we'll have a nice back cover to our board. Okay, and then what we've done also with the layering of the paper and the cardboard, this thing is now pretty rigid. So I'm just going to flip this page over. I don't know that glue isn't dry. If you have an old book that you can do this with, I highly, highly recommend it. I call it my glue book. I also use it for punching holes in things. It keeps the glue off my Fiskars mat underneath of it, which can sometimes be a bit of a pain. And when one page gets too much glue on it, you just rip it off, start on a new page. So same thing, same technique applies here. You want that glue all the way around to the edge. Here's the tricky part, and that is coming back and finding the center. So here we go. Cross your fingers. Yeah, I think that looks about right. Yeah. I think that looks fabulous. And then what I'm gonna do, I haven't done this before, but I've got these fancy little red corners that we cut off to get our folds. What if we brought them in and did something? Let's see, maybe we can match them up to the corners that they came off of. I think this one came from here, and I think this one maybe came from here. Ah, no, it's stuck to my finger. And then I think this one, yeah, I think that actually looks pretty good. So I'm going to line those up, and then I'm just going to glue them down. Give a little added embellishment to them. Oh yeah, I like the way that looks. That's cute. Okay, so I'm just going to do that to all 4 corners. And then that will complete the writing board. And then what I'll do is I'll make sure that this stays nice and flat overnight. I won't necessarily weigh it down with anything because it's holding its shape pretty good. But if yours is starting to curl because of a wet glue situation, get out some heavy books and give it a nice squash overnight, and then it should hold its form pretty good. So yeah. So if you want to see the rest of the Catching Fire journal being built, I will do multiple episodes of all the things that I add into it and show you maybe some new techniques that I've learned, how to decorate those pages up, whether you're building a journal for yourself or as a gift for someone. The possibilities are endless. So yeah, if you wanna see more of my content, please hit that subscribe button. Give me a like, give me a share, leave me a comment. Visit my Etsy shop, see what's going on there if you feel so inclined. And yeah, there we go. There's our writing board for our Catching Fire. You know what? This needs something, but I'm going to give that glue a chance to really set, and maybe we'll come back on the next episode and kind of maybe add a stamp or something to the front of that, give it a little more visual image. So yeah, there you go. There's a writing board for my Catching Fire junk journal, which is currently being built and will ultimately be for sale, because that's what I plan on doing with this one. So yeah. Thank you all for watching. This is Tiffany from Dragonflyer Studios. Until next time, bye.